does it feel to beat Elton John?
Whew. I hope he speaks to me for the next couple of years. He's known to get mad at me.
Okay.
So I don't feel bad.
It began with a piano and ended with a dagger-tongued truce. Elton John and Madonna were once two of pop's most flamboyant icons, allies on the outside, but competitors deep beneath the glitter. Things took a sharp turn in 2002 when Elton blasted Madonna for lip-syncing during her reinvention tour, calling it a disgrace to live music. His venom didn't stop there. In 2004, he infamously declared her a fairground stripper while accepting a Q award. The public feuding escalated as if fueled by rocket fuel and rhinestones. Madonna, typically not one to stay silent, responded with veiled on-stage jabs and dismissive interviews, but never called Elton out by name. The Cold War continued for years, peaking during the Golden Globe Awards in 2012, when both were nominated for Best Original Song. Madonna won. Elton's husband, David Furnish, called the outcome a travesty. The tide shifted unexpectedly in 2022. Backstage at a Saturday Night Live reunion event, the two allegedly shared a surprisingly heartfelt exchange. "Life's too short for grudges," Elton was overheard saying. Madonna nodded, even posing for a selfie with him, something unthinkable a decade earlier. These two icons spent more time sniping than singing together, but maybe that's what made their Cold War so fascinating. Even legends get territorial. It started with a melody, 5 notes that sounded just a little too familiar. When Lady Gaga released Born This Way in 2011, critics and fans couldn't help but draw comparisons to Madonna's 1989 hit Express Yourself. And neither could Madonna, but rather than issue a lawsuit, she dropped a verbal bombshell. During a 2012 interview, she simply said Gaga's work was reductive. Not bad, but not good either. That word echoed like a slap. Gaga responded with grace at first, but eventually fired back during concerts, stating, "I don't want your approval anymore." Their feud played out in slow motion, passive-aggressive interviews, fan-fueled wars on Twitter, and dueling fashion statements. But underneath it all was something more complex. Gaga once idolized Madonna. In her early career, she called her the reason I'm here. That emotional dynamic made the feud sting more. Fans weren't just watching pop stars clash. They were witnessing a disciple challenging the queen. Then came the 2019 Oscars. Gaga was riding a wave of acclaim for A Star Is Born, and Madonna, fresh off her own Madame X era, extended an unexpected olive branch. The two posed together, cheek to cheek, in a backstage photo that silenced years of rivalry. When it comes to divas, Mariah Carey and Madonna are titans from very different worlds, and apparently, they never wanted to share the same orbit. The shade between them dates back to the late 90s, when Mariah made a snide remark in Spin magazine claiming, "I haven't been paying attention to Madonna since the 8th grade." The jab may have sounded playful, but Madonna didn't take it lightly. Around the same time, Madonna had reportedly called Mariah's music predictable and emotionless in private circles. It didn't help that both were signed to major labels, commanding millions in budget and attention. Behind the scenes, there were whispers that executives subtly encouraged competition between them. Two women fighting for pop supremacy in an era that rarely allowed more than one woman at the top. The feud flared up again in the 2000s when Madonna was asked if she had any interest in collaborating with Mariah. Her reply? A flat no. Meanwhile, Mariah maintained her signature coolness, once telling Larry King she doesn't know her, echoing her infamous response to Jennifer Lopez. Though the two never launched all-out war, the distance between them was icy and intentional. And unlike many celebrity spats that mellow with age, this one has never thawed. In fact, as of 2025, there's no public record of reconciliation or even mutual acknowledgement. You'd think two trailblazing pop icons, who defied the rules of femininity and ageism in the music industry, would have each other's backs. But when it came to Madonna and Cher, mutual respect wasn't always part of the act. In a now iconic 1991 interview, Cher declared that Madonna was mean and rude, adding bluntly, "I don't like her." The world ran with it, headlines, parodies, memes decades before memes were a thing. And while Cher insisted it wasn't personal, The public couldn't help but lap up the drama. Madonna didn't clap back publicly at the time, but she also didn't forget. Years later, she referenced the insult during interviews with a sly grin, saying, "I guess some people don't get me." Despite their tension, both women continued to dominate in their own lanes, Cher on stage with Vegas residencies and Madonna on globe-spanning tours. They never directly collaborated, but occasionally found themselves name-dropping each other in interviews, often in sarcastic or dismissive tones. And yet, something interesting happened in the 2010s. Clips of the 1991 Rude moment began resurfacing online, and both artists started sharing them, this time with a laugh. On social media, and even in concert visuals, Madonna would playfully flash the Rude label like a badge of honor, while Cher began referencing their feud in interviews as just some fun from the past. The irony, the insult that once divided them became an accidental meme that kept both women relevant to a new generation. Janet Jackson and Madonna might have ruled the charts during overlapping decades, but behind the stage lights was a simmering tension, one built not on a single dramatic moment, but a slow burn of passive digs and public jabs. It started in 1994 when Madonna, never one to hold back, made a comment in Vibe magazine suggesting there were valid reasons for people to hate Janet Jackson. The exact quote wasn't just flippant, it was laced with condescension. Janet, known for her calm and composed demeanor, didn't react immediately, but her silence was broken years later in the wake of the infamous 2004 Super Bowl wardrobe malfunction. While the world debated Janet's televised moment, Madonna subtly twisted the knife. In one interview, she noted, "I would never flash a body part just to get attention." The implication? That Janet did exactly that. The public picked up on the shade instantly. It wasn't just about wardrobe. It was about respect, legitimacy, and artistic dignity. In later years, Janet admitted in interviews that she never had a personal problem with Madonna, but that she found her commentary unnecessary and unkind. Industry insiders say there was more going on behind the scenes. Whispers of Janet being denied access to stages Madonna frequented, radio politics, and even tension over shared producers. Despite fan hopes, the two have never performed together, never shared a cover, and never posed side by side. Their feud wasn't loud. It was cold and consistent, a reminder that in pop royalty, crowns are often guarded more fiercely than fans realize. Prince and Madonna were never just peers. They were two towering icons who constantly redefined music, style, and controversy. So when their orbits collided, it was inevitable that sparks and jabs would fly. Their relationship began in the late 1980s with a short-lived romance. According to various sources, the couple went on a few dates, including an awkward night at his house, where Madonna later claimed he only served popcorn. It should have ended with a shrug, but instead, it spiraled into one of pop's most quietly bitter rivalries. Prince reportedly found Madonna's persona inauthentic and often dismissed her in interviews as provocative for the sake of it. Madonna wasn't one to back down. In a 1994 interview, she called him a little troll and said their collaboration on Love Song, From Her Like a Prayer album, was creatively stifling because of his ego. Prince, on the other hand, allegedly edited her vocals out of certain live performances of their duet, subtle but unmistakable. The tension boiled over in 2016 after Prince's untimely death. Madonna performed a tribute at the Billboard Music Awards, which received intense backlash from Prince's fanbase and even some of his former collaborators. Many felt she wasn't the right artist to honor him. Questlove defended her, but the backlash lingered like a shadow. While both Prince and Madonna maintained their legacy separately, they never reconciled publicly. A missed moment in music history. Had they truly joined forces, it could have been magic. Instead, what we got was a series of lyrical side-eyes and interviews that hinted at what could have been, and what definitely wasn't. Courtney Love doesn't hold back, and neither does Madonna. So when these two women crossed paths in the wild circus of the 1995 MTV Video Music Awards, chaos was almost inevitable. The moment, instantly iconic and endlessly rewatched. Madonna was mid-interview with Kurt Loder when Courtney Love, clearly uninvited, threw a compact mirror at Madonna from off-screen and crashed the set. What followed was a painfully awkward, unscripted exchange filled with strange laughter, uncomfortable glances, and Madonna slowly edging away while Courtney rambled. Courtney Love is in dire need of attention right now, Madonna quipped with a forced smile, trying to remain composed while MTV let the feed roll. To most viewers, it was pure entertainment, but to industry insiders, it was a perfect symbol of two radically different forces in pop culture. Madonna, ever calculated and brand-aware, viewed Courtney's unfiltered energy as chaos. Meanwhile, Courtney, queen of grungier rawness, saw Madonna as phony, a manufactured media product she'd never want to emulate. The feud didn't end there. Over the years, Courtney made repeated jabs in interviews, suggesting Madonna was too safe, a pop puppet, and obsessed with staying relevant. Madonna, true to form, rarely replied, but her silence was its own message, icy, dismissive, and firm. Interestingly, in later years, Courtney began to soften her tone, once calling Madonna a survivor. But the damage had been done. That VMA's moment became a frozen-in-time example of what happens when two rebellious spirits clash in front of the world, with no scripts, no handlers, and no filters. Madonna's venture into the electronic dance scene with her 2012 MDNA album wasn't just controversial for longtime fans. It also drew fire from inside the EDM community. At the Ultra Music Festival in Miami, Madonna made a cheeky reference to Molly, a slang term for MDMA, the party drug. The crowd roared, but one person wasn't laughing. EDM producer deadmau5, real name Joel Zimmerman. He quickly took to social media, accusing Madonna of irresponsibly promoting drug use to a young audience. His posts went viral, dragging Madonna into a public feud she probably didn't expect. deadmau5 didn't mince words, calling her out as desperate and out of touch. He argued that EDM was struggling to shed its drug-fueled reputation, and Madonna had just taken it a step backward. Madonna clapped back, not with a diss track, but with a subtweet and a photoshopped image of herself in mouse ears. Petty? Maybe, but effective. deadmau5 replied with a rare moment of reflection, acknowledging that maybe he'd gone too hard, but stood by his larger point. Things cooled quickly after that, and the feud never reignited. In fact, when they both appeared at the title launch event in 2015, they were spotted hugging, though neither looked thrilled about it. This wasn't a feud born from ego or envy. It was a culture clash between a legacy pop icon entering a new genre and an electronic artist fiercely guarding his scene's authenticity. And while it didn't end in an all-out war, it revealed just how carefully Madonna's every word and wink is scrutinized when she enters new territory. Before he became a respected actor, Mark Wahlberg was known as Marky Mark, a shirtless rapper with swagger, abs, and, unfortunately, a history of problematic behavior. During the early 90s, Madonna and Mark moved in overlapping circles in New York's entertainment scene. But any chance at professional synergy quickly crumbled when Mark allegedly made a homophobic comment at a party hosted by Madonna's manager, Guy Oseary. Reports say the incident turned physical. Madonna, known for fiercely supporting the LGBTQ+ community long before it was industry safe, was furious. Wahlberg's comments, whether meant as a joke or not, crossed a line for her. The altercation escalated, and a punch was allegedly thrown. Mark was kicked out of the party, and his access to Madonna's circle was permanently revoked. In later years, Mark Wahlberg attempted to clean up his image, openly admitting to past mistakes and even apologizing publicly for some of his early offensive comments. But Madonna never publicly forgave or acknowledged the change. When asked about him years later, she responded dryly, "I prefer silence over hypocrisy." What's most striking is how this feud wasn't about art or ego, but values. Madonna's advocacy wasn't just lip service. It defined who she accepted around her. Wahlberg represented the kind of masculinity Madonna had long fought against: brash, careless, and dismissive of marginalized voices. Though Mark has matured into a family man and philanthropist, this stain remains a stark reminder of how early words can echo throughout a career, especially when they collide with someone as unyielding and influential as Madonna. The feud between Madonna and 50 Cent was as unexpected as it was viral, born not in the recording studio or on tour, but on Instagram. In 2021, Madonna posted a series of provocative photos of herself in lingerie, sprawled beneath a bed and showing no signs of slowing down at age 63. While fans were divided, 50 Cent couldn't resist a swipe. He reposted one of her photos with a mocking caption, comparing her to characters from The Wizard of Oz and ridiculing her age. The internet erupted, but Madonna wasn't amused. She clapped back with a sharply worded post reminding him that she had paved the way for every artist who's dared to be bold, and that mocking a woman's body, especially for aging, was outdated and misogynistic. The backlash against 50 was swift. Within 24 hours, he issued a public apology, saying, "I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. I don't benefit from this." But Madonna didn't accept it. She doubled down, posting a video rejecting the apology as fake and calling it a backhanded attempt to save face. What made this feud so gripping was how it reflected a larger cultural tension: the public's discomfort with older women expressing sexuality, and Madonna's refusal to bow to that discomfort. 50 Cent may have thought he was just making a joke, but he picked the wrong icon to poke. Years later, 50 Cent was asked about the incident on a podcast. He simply said, "I learned not to mess with legends." Message received. So, what do all these feuds reveal about Madonna? She's not just the queen of pop. She's the queen of confrontation, reinvention, and unapologetic boundaries. Whether she was defending herself, challenging the culture, or throwing subtle shade with a wink, every clash added another layer to her mythos. But here's the twist. Many of these rivalries weren't about hate. They were about power, identity, and who controls the narrative in an industry that rarely plays fair with women. Madonna didn't just survive the drama. She made it part of her brand. And the best part? Some of her fiercest enemies eventually became unexpected allies. Because in Madonna's world, no grudge is permanent, but no insult goes unremembered. Hit subscribe if you're ready to see pop history from the other side.